What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Voice of Bedlam Live. I'm your host, Andrew Santoro. We got a great NFL show ready to go for you guys. Going to get you guys all set up for this weekend on... And as always, I got my main man, Devil John, on the mic and on the boards. John, how you doing?
Mixing it up on a Friday, and can't wait for the weekend. Kind of hoping to rebound in fantasy, and man,
I took him out last week.
Yeah, he took me out by like 50 points, so I have to rebound and I have to lay it on and hopefully bring this back so that I'm in the running for this championship. But remember, I have him as as the Phoenix of the league, rising from the ashes and coming to compete with the big boys.
Yeah, I started off rough, 0-1. Sean beat the snot out of me.
Yeah, the Johnsons is sitting undefeated still.
All right, but before we get things moving, let's talk about our sponsor, JokerChoker.com. Joker Choker is the home of Joker Choker Pro Football Pick'em Poker, a new style of football pick'ems that brings the strategy of poker to the game of football pick'em. It's free to play, it's easy to play, but it takes strategy to win.
Yes, indeed. So if you know how to play poker, which a lot of people do, it's treated like 5-card stud. So when you pick your games, each team is going to be assigned a card, and you have to make the best poker hand out of the winning team. So get yourself onto JokerChoker.com. Use the promo code Bedlam and get in on your chance of winning over $500 in prizes and tons of other things as well as the season goes on. And maybe you can, beat some of the people that do this show, because we definitely got everybody involved. At least the Johnsons and myself and Mr. Bedlam over here. So get over to JokerChoker.com. Use BEDLAM Bedlam as your promo code to get yourself some bonus coins to get you started today.
Remember, guys, it's free to play and you can win over $500. So use that promo code Bedlam at JokerChoker.com. Now, with that being said, why don't we get into today's Daily Breakdown? All right, now we're going to start off this week's Daily Breakdown recapping Thursday night. Now, the Miami Dolphins traveled to Cincinnati basically to get the snot kicked out of them. Yeah. Miami falling to 1-3, Cincinnati going up to 3-1. Cincinnati's only loss coming the previous week to Denver. Cincy would come out on top 22-7. Now, Miami scored early in this game.
Yes, they did.
Ryan Tannehill threw a 74-yard touchdown pass to Kenny Stills, but they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, he was wide open too.
After that. What did you think about Miami's offense or lack thereof?
Honestly, the first thing that grabbed my attention was the jerseys. It looked
the color rush.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Well, the color rush and the lack of color on the Bengals, because it looked like all the orange from them jerseys got donated to the wrong team. Because although I kind of liked the orange on orange, it looked kind of cool, but I would have liked maybe the teal pants with that orange. But that's just my liking. But anywho, back to the game.
All about the fashion, John. All about the fashion.
Well, honestly, the Bengals were just way too white. They looked like it was like they were going to a christening right after the football game. So,
well, Kenny Stills, that was his only reception of the game, that 74-yarder. It also made him the leading receiver. Jarvis Landry had 7 catches, but only 61 yards. This was really the A.J. Green show. Now, A.J. Green, 10 receptions, 173 yards, 1 touchdown with a 51-yard touchdown grab. Dalton, 22 for 31 on the night, 296 yards with that 1 touchdown to Green. Now, finally, Jeremy Hill on 21 attempts puts up 71 yards. And, the Bengals really got to get this running game working. That first year when all them LSU kids came out, Jeremy Hill, Jarvis Landry on the same team, and also was Odell Beckham. They all came out of the draft in the same year. They really were like the most dominant rookies of the class.
Yeah,
But Jeremy Hill, after his rookie year, really hasn't been able to put it together. Giovanni Bernard, especially in fantasy, it's like a suicide mission because at any time they could go off, and you don't know if it's going to be Geno or Hill.
So the benefits as a fan of having a running back tandem is that you have, kind of what, I know I use this analogy a lot, but it was like kind of like the perfect combo of growing up with football and thunder and lightning being Lindell White and Reggie Bush. You had somebody that could punch you in your mouth, and that was Lindell White. He also had some speed, but then you had your speedster and Reggie Bush.
That outside guy. Don't let him bounce it out.
So, now they call that the change of pace back, all right? And having a change of pace back along with a power back or a speed back, you run yourself a better chance at keeping the ball in your hands and on the ground, opening up your passing game eventually. So the Bengals, when they have someone like AJ Green who's just a freak out there and makes people, well, although the one touchdown he got was just it seemed like a really weak arm tackle that he tried to make.
That was wait, what are you talking about?
The one touchdown that AJ Green got, there was I believe it was on the 6-yard line, and it was literally just a bubble screen pass right to him, and the tackle, the corner stepped up on him, tried to make that tackle, looked like he was wrapping him up with his arms, and then just fell to his knees, and then AJ Green obviously went in for that touchdown.
Well, now according to NFL.com, during the first 3 quarters, Green had 166 yards, while Miami only had 152 yards.
Correct.
Total offense.
Yeah, I was playing pool while I was watching this game.
And the Bengals, pretty much season long, they've been stalling out at the goal line, and they forced Mike Nugent's season high 5 field goals.
Yeah, that was they look terrible, and honestly, with them missing a lot of starters, that could be one of the main elements of why this Dolphins team was not able to perform against the Bengals. But honestly, in the NFL, there should be the next man up. You're going to deal with injuries, and you would hope that the next person up is going to be able to fill that spot. But with tight end Jordan Cameron and running back Arian Foster being missing in that lineup, those are notable names that could get it in the end zone.
I mean, you have to say the Dolphins were missing 4 starting offensive linemen, 2 linebackers, Arian Foster, and as you said, Jordan Cameron.
Yeah.
I mean, they would fall 22-7, but I mean, the Bengals defense they were expected to get a big lift from the return of Burfict. Now Burfict was suspended for those hits on Antonio Brown in the playoffs, suspended the first 3 games of this year. He got a loud standing ovation when he ran out to the field during introductions. He knocked down a pass in the game and had 3 tackles.
Yeah, that was good. Honestly, the biggest thing that costed the Miami Dolphins that game was, you just mentioned, there was 4 offensive linemen that were out. You cannot have that many linemen down and expect to move forward in a positive direction.
All right, well, let's take a quick second and hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you unemployed looking for that perfect job, going back to school, or exploring a new career? Then it's time to visit newcodelogic.com. At Job Search Logic, we'll not only help you search and apply to any job, but do all the work involved to get you that new job. That's newcodelogic.com. Our strong, long-term devotion with all of our clients means a new world of possibilities for your new career. Get on the inside track to finding your new job today. That's newcodelogic.com. We have the connections and industry expertise to offer you the best jobs at the world's leading companies. Visit us today.
Yeah, so obviously, if you need some help, getting some jobs, hit them up. I know a few people that are, looking, so I'm definitely going to throw them their way.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's move on with the rest of today's daily breakdown and talk some We're going to have to talk some injury news, and let's get things moving with the biggest one just came down. Sammy Watkins, Buffalo Bills, first round draft pick, that same class with all the LSU kids, moved to season-ending IR. Now, he had surgery on his foot in April to repair a Jones fracture to his fifth metatarsal. Now, he did not play last week.
No, he didn't.
And he wasn't practicing, but it didn't look like he was going to get moved to IR. But
he played a little bit in week 1.
I think week 2 as well, didn't he?
Yeah, week 2. Yeah, he was in, but he didn't really get any production. So, because that lingering foot injury, which, it is a high re-injury risk. So, given the fact that he was trying to jump right out there after getting this surgery, maybe he should have just waited it out a little bit, and then maybe by now they probably would have gotten Sammy back.
See, now, a lot of times, I don't know, this is just me thinking. I haven't, heard this anywhere. Yeah. But a lot of times when you see this weird move with a surgery and stuff like that, a lot of times things aren't working out between the team and the player. I really wouldn't be surprised if things weren't totally cool with Sammy Watkins and the Buffalo Bills. And I mean, similar to last year when Will Beatty got injured, and then you hear behind a closed door the reason. Well, the surgery went down at like a weird time, and and announced. Will Beatty didn't have the Giants announce it. The Giants found out he was having surgery when Will Beatty announced it on Bleacher Report. And but behind the closed door, it was because Will Beatty didn't want to play the right side of the line, and nobody was saying that at the time. He wanted to play the left, and the Giants weren't going to give him the left, so he decided to have surgery. I just wonder if there's something behind closed doors going on with Sammy Watkins. It could
possibly be that, but he's also their number one guy, and being the number one guy,
well, Beatty was a left tackle. It doesn't. That's the number one guy. Also,
yeah, I got you. But in his situation, he's got to put up numbers if he's going to try his real estate elsewhere, moving forward. So having sit-outs because of injury and stuff just draws a red flag on him going forward. So if they're like, all right, if you're going to stage your protest against playing for this team by, saying that your foot hurts, then, that's the wrong route to go. But I don't think that's what's going on. Just given the rate of re-injury that people from Jones fractures come back with,
now, what makes it a Jones fracture? Do you know? What does that mean?
It's just it's how the person that diagnoses the original diagnosis, the abnormality in the fracture, got to call it a Jones fracture. But it's kind of almost like how lingering a turf toe is, right? A turf toe, you would think would be something that's like, oh, you just stubbed your toe in a sense, right? But a lot of people sit out weeks and weeks with lingering effects from a turf toe. So, with that being said, the Jones fracture is a lot to do with where your ball of your foot is.
The fracture has to be in the midpoint of the foot to be considered a Jones fracture, and it is part of the fifth bone, which means it belongs to the fifth toe. Now, what does that mean? Like the pinky toe, if you will, or the thumb toe?
The pinky toe.
The pinky toe.
Shut me up, pinky toe.
All right. But those sustaining, now this is according to Wikipedia, those who sustain a Jones fracture have pain over the area, swelling, and difficulty walking. The fracture was first described by orthopedic surgeon Sir Robert Jones, who sustained the injury himself while dancing. So that's a little bit history about the Jones fracture.
Exactly. So, given where it is, and it's saying that you're having difficulty walking, think about difficulty running. And then not only that, being explosive, especially when you're expected to explode off the line as a wide receiver. So you might switch your plant foot now, just so that your kickoff foot is on your good foot. But then eventually from you gingering that other side so much, you're going to cause a lot of injury possibly to the other side now.
Now, it looks like Robert Woods and Marquise Goodwin will lead the pack for the wide receivers.
So
I
hit
mean,
'em
both
up on
these
the
guys
waiver line.
see substantial playing time to begin with. I mean, Marquise Goodwin had a real
some good
nice
games,
game. Yeah. Now, but also Buffalo has signed Justin Hunter today. Now, Justin Hunter was a second-round pick, 34th overall in 2013 by the Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
He was on the team for 2 years, then went over to Miami, who he was waived by, earlier this week, right?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, he was waived by Miami Wednesday, signed by the Bills today, I believe. Yes, he was signed today. So I don't think you'll be seeing him on the field, but he is on the team. He was all second-team SEC
Just had
in
some depth.
2012. Has 68 receptions throughout his career for 1,116 yards with 8 touchdowns. Now, every start he had came with Tennessee. I wonder why he's really seemed to fall off since, what was that, his rookie year or his second year, where he had the majority of his playing time. I believe he started every game.
He started only, I think it was 13 out of 58 career plays, because he's played a significant amount of games, but he's only started about like 12 to 13 games. But he still has professional snaps.
Yeah, he has the 8 touchdowns. But let's keep moving with some injury news. Now, we're going to tell you guys to go over to voiceofbedlam.com and check out Sean's latest article about J.J. Watt, who is also going to season-ending IR due to that reoccurring back injury.
Turning down the Watt.
Turning down the Watt.
Yeah, to the season-ending clipboard.
So make sure you guys go over to voiceofbedlam.com, check out Sean's new post, and while you're there, make sure you check out my new post, which we'll get to a little bit later. The Giants facing an uphill battle. But keeping it with the injury news, Dez Bryant is doubtful this week due to a knee injury. So this means rookie quarterback Dak Prescott, which looks like he'll be going to war without the Cowboys' number 1 wide receiver. But don't get it twisted. Beasley and Williams, they can play too.
Correct. And also on their offensive tackle, Tyron Smith's back injury, did not practice on Friday, and their cornerback, Orlando Scandrick, has a hamstring and is questionable for the game.
All right. Now, the Cowboys will be facing the San Francisco 49ers. So
Should be a really good game, actually.
I don't know. I could see
it going in the 49ers now.
Really? No, I still see the Cowboys winning this, and I think they will. I think they'll win by at least 10. We're going to save our picks for later, but who are you taking in this game? Cowboys, San Francisco. I'll take the Cowboys by 10.
With the latest, with Dez Bryant not on the field, it makes it hard for me to go right with the Cowboys, but I have to go with the 49ers just because I think that at home they're going to be able to get some stuff done. I think Carlos Hyde is going to have a really good game. Now,
don't get me wrong. This is a young Cowboys team. I'm not crowning them anything. I hate when people do that. But this team, I think, could be scary. And I think they will still take the win without Dez. Now, do you want to talk? I guess that'll wrap it up for the injury news. Is there any other big injuries?
There was a couple injuries around the league.
Well, one person coming back from injury. It looks like Jamaal Charles will be expected to play this week. He's yet to play this year due to that ACL surgery that he had almost a year ago now. He's expected to play limitedly, but hopefully be on the field, basically like a backup role.
He's going to be
take a couple snaps.
Yeah, he's going to be back
I think he'll probably still take, maybe like a preseason game, like 8 snaps. Yeah, Sharkandrick West won't be playing. He's injured.
He's done. Out.
All right.
Other than that, injury news, Dante Moncrief is going to be out for the Colts, and they're also going to be missing Jonathan Harrison, their offensive lineman, due to illness, and then defensive back Darius Butler. There's a lot of injuries, though, man. There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's always a lot of injuries, but
voiceofbedlam.com.
Let's talk about my post up at voiceofbedlam.com. The Giants have an uphill battle to face. Now, I'm previewing this Monday night's matchup at the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I do think the Giants can win this game. I do think they can best Sam Bradford and Stephon Diggs. But the Giants, that Stephon Diggs matchup is not looking too good right now because two of our top three cornerbacks aren't expected to play, and that is Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie and first-round draft pick out of Ohio State, Eli Apple. Now, free agent acquisition, Janoris Jenkins will be playing. He won't be shadowing Stephon Diggs, I'm sure, by any means, but it does look like Trevin Wade will make the start for Big Blue. Now he played
Stephon too, so
he played in all 16 games last year, Trevin Wade, but he's really not a starter. He's more of like a dime guy, maybe a nickel, depending on how many players are active. But I mean, Minnesota's still missing their left tackle. So with Olivier Vernon and JPP getting their first sacks on the year last week, I'm really hoping that they can get to Bradford and shake him up early. But at the same time, you have to be worried about Eli Manning if you're a Giants fan, because that defensive score leaders in the Minnesota Vikings sacked Cam Newton 8 times last week. So they are the highest scoring defense in the NFL, and they sacked a mobile quarterback like Cam Newton 8 times last week.
So I have to ask you now.
The Giants play Green Bay the following week.
Now you saw how Carolina's offensive line was basically ultimately decimated, and they got to Cam Newton quite a bit.
8 times.
How do you think Odell Beckham and Eli Manning are going to be able to respond to that?
I think it's more of a problem for Eli than it is Odell. The Giants are going to have to do a lot of quick release. A lot of people were complaining of that in last week's loss to the Redskins, a game where if they would have won, the Giants would have had first place in the division, tied with the Eagles. Now they're in second. But that the Giants didn't go downfield enough. With this pass rush Minnesota has, I don't see the Giants going down the field that much either. Now, Shane Vereen has also been moved to IR, and a lot of people want to see Darkwa get some more snaps, perhaps even over Rashad Jennings. Now, Vereen was playing in Rashad Jennings' place last week while Jennings was down with kind of a surprise thumb injury. I mean, he was seen with the cast earlier in the week, but was expected to play and was a early game scratch. They thought he could be a hazard putting the ball on the ground, so they played Shane Vereen, who put the ball on the ground twice and now is on IR.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. I think what's going to happen, though, and hopefully it doesn't happen, but I think what we saw out of Odell in his hissy fit against the kicking net.
Well, it was on the sidelines at least. He didn't draw a flag this time.
Correct. But, the only thing that is, I guess, working in his favor is that one of their top guys, Captain Munnerlin, went down in the Panthers game towards the end, and he might not. I believe he was still questionable as a game time player. Which those type of people, those are Captain was once a Panther, so I know about him and about his work ethic, and he was also, I believe, a Patriot. He got a championship out of them. But given that type of coverage out there, he's going to have a hard time against this number one scoring defense.
Now, getting back with the Giants, a person that they played last week when you mentioned Odell Beckham, if you hadn't heard, it was Josh Norman. Now, Norman was fined about $49,000 for a hit he laid on not Odell Beckham, but rookie wide receiver Sterling Shepard. Now, this came on a hit over the middle where a flag was thrown, and so he's getting that $49,000 fine, a little less than $49,000, but a $49,000 fine. Now, he was fined twice in one game last year, and those were for hits.
And that was only totaling like $27,000. So this fine for one hit is doubled.
Doubled the two hits. Yes, it's more than well, no, it's not.
Yeah, because
It's not more than doubled,
it was the
but it's about doubled the 2 hits combined.
Yeah.
For the 2 hits he had on Odell Beckham last
the
year.
last year was the face masking and then the unnecessary roughness, and then now this is just one
defenseless
offense.
receiver.
And it was on a crossing route, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, over the middle. That's the most dangerous spot. You know,
Yeah, but
Sterling Shepard lines up in the slot a lot. He's a little guy. He's going to be taking a lot of hits like that.
Credit to your boy, he popped right up.
Yeah, and he made the catch on the first down.
Yeah, so
Sterling Shepard really lighting it up. All 3 Giants wide receivers are on pace to break 1,000 years.
That's awesome.
1,000 yards this year. Yeah, so Eli Manning, I mean, he was a dark horse. He was a dark horse candidate during the offseason, which means nothing for MVP. And I think he'd still get it if he cuts down these damn turnovers. Make me sick, Eli. You got to keep that ball. I mean, I would yell at Shane Vereen too, but
your offensive line
he's
just
on
needs
IR.
to gel a little bit more.
They are a young group,
and not only that, he needs to be able to make a quicker read. He has to get that ball out quicker, and especially when you know that you're battling uphill with your offensive line. You got to do something, so you have to make it work. So, and most times you can, people don't like to look around for the answer to your problems, because it's not so easy. But sometimes you just have to look around and make a quick decision and stand behind it. But most of the time, you make those quick decisions, and it's into the hands of the opposing team.
All right, now before we move on with this daily breakdown, you guys are listening to Voice of Bedlam live on the All In Sports Talk Network. I'm your host, Andrew Santoro, and as always, I got my main man, Devil John, on the mic and on the boards. Thanks for hanging out with us this Friday night, getting a nice Sunday preview for the upcoming NFL matchups. You guys can catch us every Tuesday and Friday night on the All In Sports Talk Network. Make sure you get the app from the Google Play Store or whatever Apple's is called. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really an Apple guy myself.
iOS.
And then remember, as always, you guys can check out the podcast version of our show. If you missed any of it, hear it in its entirety. If you guys go over to voiceofbedlam.com, click on audio podcast, or please click on video podcast, get taken over to our YouTube channel where we have a video of all 70 or so of our shows. And so make sure you guys head over to voiceofbedlam.com.
And don't forget to also hit up the All In Sports Talk, because they re-air our show
every day, pretty much.
Every day. And not only that, you can hear some more great sports talk radio.
Absolutely. And make sure you guys go over to voiceofbedlam.com. All right, now let's keep moving with today's daily breakdown. Going to kind of fire these things off so we can get a nice preview of the week for Slate. But before we do that, why don't... Oh, what just happened? Having some technical difficulties. But before we get over there, why don't we tell everybody about our newest sponsor, that being the Fan Up Network. Now, the NFL is in full swing, and you know what that means. It's fantasy football time. So pay attention to the next 3 words. Fan Up Network. Now, this groundbreaking app allows you to view all of your fantasy teams, gives you player updates, injury news, and advice from fantasy experts. That's right, everything you need to properly manage your team in one place. The Fan Up Network at fanupnetwork.com. Get the app now by visiting fanupnetwork.com or search Fan Up in your app store, where you guys can streamline the process and gain the edge for your fantasy football team. Go to fanupnetwork.com now.
You put good money into your fantasy football, so make it work for you with Fan Up.
All right, let's get things moving with Voice of Bedlam Live's daily breakdown, and tell everyone yet again, Josh Gordon, going to rehab. Now, this is by his own choice. Haven't heard anything about a suspension or or a fine or a hot urine, but it looks like the Browns are going to release him, and Josh Gordon is heading back to rehab.
Is it too soon for a Winehouse reference? They tried to make him go to rehab, and he said he would go.
Okay, well, we already talked about Jamaal Charles, so I guess that'll wrap up this week's Daily Breakdown. And once again, remember to go to voiceofbedlam.com, check out all the articles. Please hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/VOBpod. Hit us up on Twitter. I'm at Andrew Bedlam. That is pretty much the Voice of Bedlam Twitter. You can get links to all our stuff there, or just have a little conversation with me and hit up hashtag VOB Live.
Yes, do that now.
All right, so with that, why don't we get a little preview here of all the Week 4 matchups. Now, as we
That's
said,
our format. Review,
we
preview.
said earlier, the Dolphins and Bengals kicked things off in Cincinnati. Dolphins falling 7-22.
Which I picked that, so I'm glad.
Now, the next game to take place will be the Colts and Jaguars at a 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, why is the game at 9:30 a.m.? That's because they're going to be over there across the pond with our main man, Sam Stocks. Now,
who's going to be exclusively covering this game for us?
We're going to set up a whole nice little vlog. He's going to be shooting a bunch of footage. We'll throw it up on the channel, probably do it a little post about it, so stay tuned for that. That's why Sam's not on with us tonight. You can go back to last episode on our podcast and hear what Sam has to think. He's kind of our Voice of Bedlam scout, so I hope Sam has a lot of fun, but I'm sure we'll see a lot about it. So now, John, who do you like in this game? Colts at Jaguars. What are you thinking?
I'm going to say it in the tone of our British friends. The Jaguars.
Oh, really?
I got the Jaguars.
I disagree.
I got the Jaguars. The reason why is because they don't have Dante Moncrief. You know, T.Y. Hilton will be double covered. And
T.Y. Hilton's got almost 300 yards, 294
correct.
off 18 receptions with only one touchdown.
Yeah, so with that type of production, defensive coordinators are preparing for that, you know. And then you got Philip Dorsett and tight end Jack Doyle and tight end Dwayne Allen coming up with about 151 for Dorsett, 137 for Jack Doyle, and then only 113 for Dwayne Allen. So honestly, the linebacking core is going to have to step up against these tight ends because they do run that two tight ends set. And then not only that, they're going to have to be able to double cover T.Y. Hilton. It's either that or get good coverage on him, man-to-man, and get pressure onto Andrew Luck and force him to throw picks.
I don't think it's that easy. The Jaguars are winless. Andrew Luck is on pace to throw for over 4,000 yards this year. He already has 6 touchdown passes. The Colts offense outranks the Jaguars pretty much in every meaningful category. Rushing yards per game, passing yards per game, and then, of course, total yards per game. I had faith in the Jaguars before the season happened, and I just don't anymore. I mean, I really thought the two Allens were going to be having things rocking just a little bit, but with an 0-3 start, you know, mathematically they're pretty much dead. I don't see it getting any better. I mean, the Jaguars pretty much are London's home team, if you will. They've played the most games over there by far. So
I think they're going to have a good game, you know.
I think it's two bad teams. It's two bad teams, so maybe they'll match up nicely.
Yeah, the Colts. It's going to be a good matchup. It's going to be a really nice game. It's going to be close in score, but I still think Jacksonville is going to come out on top on this one. I would say they win by 10. I'm going to say they win by 10 because...
So you got Jacksonville by 10. No, I'll take Indy in a close one.
You got Indy in the close one. Yeah, see, I don't know.
At least we're disagreeing tonight.
Yeah, last time, it was hard to take Miami Dolphins over Cincinnati, though.
We were trying,
Cincinnati.
We were trying real hard.
Yeah, we definitely, you know, we tried to play devil's advocate, even though that's usually my role, but, you know, we both were trying to think outside the box because, you know, we understand the game of football because we've played it, and you can prepare for something, and when it comes game time, it's any given Sunday that someone's going to go off.
All right, well, we only got about another half hour left on this.
So let's run through these games.
Voice of Bedlam live. Thanks for hanging out with us on the All In Sports Network. This is Andrew and John. But, John, let's talk about this Houston game. Now, Houston, really playing down with the loss of J.J. Watt. But I'll tell you two people they do have, and that is Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. Yep. Now, can Brock Osweiler make something happen? This Titan team that they're facing, and with the Texans hosting the game, I don't see the Titans having a shot. I think the Titans also remain winless.
Well, the Texans, I should say, have some key injuries going into this game. The Texans' backup running back Jonathan Grimes suffered a cracked fibula against the Patriots, and he will be sidelined for a month or so. And then offensive tackle Dwayne Brown with a knee injury is ruled out, and linebacker Brian Cushion's knee is also questionable for Sunday.
That defense is just falling apart.
So DeMarco Murray, Derrick Henry, and these young, I think Mariota might be able to do a little bit more than what we're expecting. But
Mariota's only thrown for 4 touchdowns thus far, 2 of them going to DeMarco Murray.
Exactly. So I see this being, this is where we're going to defer again. I am going with the Titans.
Boo! I'm glad you are going against me, though. Now, the Titans do, seem to match up a little bit better than the Houston does. So maybe
and remember they're also Wattless.
Now, yeah, they are Wattless, but Houston is 2-1. The Texans are winless. Texans
who's
and
gonna
Jaguars
step in Watt's spot?
Are going to be in a battle.
Jadeveon Clowney just started showing up.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're missing your star defensive player, aren't you hoping that happens in a game where you play?
Because they also
but
have
if that's
Brian
ever going to
Cushion's
happen,
out.
isn't the Titans the team you want to play?
The Titans is one of those teams that you want to play.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're young, yes, and
I'm
they will make
saying
some
they're
mistakes,
young. They've
yeah.
been young since Steve McNair left, and they haven't done a damn thing yet. The Jaguars have been young forever, and they haven't. The Jaguars are always one of the youngest teams in the league, and then they cut everybody because they don't know how to draft.
We almost called them the Houston Oilers there. Combined
Houston
it like
Oilers.
this is the battle of the Houston Oilers. Here we go.
Okay, well, let's keep things moving. Now, we've disagreed. Well, we already talked about the Giants game. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Maybe I'm picking with my heart. No, I can see the Giants taking down Minnesota. I do not believe in Sam Bradford. They are missing their left tackle. We have got to have our offensive line play well. If our offensive line does not play well, the Giants are in a heap of trouble, but I can't see my Minnesota doing that 2 weeks in a row. I'm taking the Giants in another close one, a fourth quarter comeback that Eli Manning will not throw an interception in this time. And you know what? Giants, let's see you keep it to 0 turnovers. Those turnovers making me sick.
I have to say this one more time. I defer, sir, because I beg to differ because that defense showed up and shut down a very productive Carolina. And I mean, like, they put so much pressure on Cam, and given the holes that are already in existence in your offensive line as well, because we had Michael Oher out, so we had a hole, like a small hole in a sense, in our offensive line, and they exploited it. So I can imagine what that pressure is going to be like. They're going to carry that momentum, and it's a home game too, in Minnesota. So I have to go with Minnesota over your boys. Unfortunately.
All right, so we have disagreed on every single game so far. Let's stick with the NFC East, where a team that bested the Giants last week, Washington Redskins, will host another worst team in the league, Cleveland Browns. Now, before we get into this game, let's pick the order of the draft, top 3 teams. Now, of course, it's going to be the Jags, the Titans, and the Browns. But what order is that going to be? Who's got the number? Do you agree with me, though, right? Those are the top 3
Browns
teams
first,
in the draft.
probably.
Yeah.
All right,
Browns so you think Browns first overall pick? I'll go Titans second. No, I'm going Titans first overall pick. Browns second, Jags
Although
third.
in Madden, I really play well with the Cleveland Browns. It's really
Madden,
weird.
Though. It's Madden.
I understand it's Madden, but like it's just like really weird because if I can make it work, usually I'm like, oh well, maybe they can make it work professionally. Who knows?
Write it down now. These will be the 3 worst teams teams at the end of the year: Jaguars, Titans, and Browns.
What
And
about the Bears? Nobody
For that
what,
reason,
you think
I
the
like
Bears
the
are not that
Redskins.
bear?
I think the Redskins, the Bears, will at least win 6 games. I don't see these teams winning more than 4.
Wow. All right.
Except maybe the Jags. I think the Jags could maybe. I had a lot of faith in the Jags. If one of the teams was to turn around, it would be the Jags.
Yeah.
And by turning it around, I mean not be a top 3 team in the draft, as in finishing in the bottom third.
Yeah.
But none of these teams are making the playoffs. But
Just
maybe the Jags can squeeze out 6 or 7 wins if they try real hard.
Yeah, just to touch base on the Browns cornerback Joe Hayden's groin is gonna have him had him limited at practice on Friday, and he's listed
Where
as
quarterbacks
questionable.
go to die.
That was
Cleveland.
a corner.
Oh.
Cornerback.
Well, where
corner,
everyone-
anything with back in the
Yeah.
back of it goes to die. I guess
goes to die.
Yes,
At
and then the
Cleveland.
Redskins will be without cornerback Bashad Breeland with an ankle injury, guard Sean Le'Veon with an ankle injury, defensive back Deshaun Phillips with a hamstring, wide receiver Josh Doxson with an Achilles injury against these Browns, linebacker Trent Murphy's Achilles, and defensive end Kendall Reyes groin are questionable to play.
Okay, let's bounce back over. Now, we agree on this one with the Redskins?
I am looking here, and yes, I'm taking Washington because there's no way in heck I'm taking
So
Cleveland.
you're looking at your Joker choker pick.
Yeah, because this time I went with my gut completely, and I filled in obviously some of my spoilers, if you will, I guess, because obviously we have been deferring up until this point where we agree on Washington.
Okay, and let's bounce back over to New York, where the Jets will host the Seattle Seahawks at MetLife Stadium. Now, Fitzpatrick, my man, we were calling you Fitzmagic. You did what most people thought you would do, and this is why you get paid.
in magic.
This is why you're being paid like a backup quarterback.
Correct.
As much as I want the Jets to win this game, Eric Decker is also questionable.
Yes.
As much as I want the Jets to win this game, I do not see it happening. But I mean, Seattle has no offense. Is this going to be a defensive battle, or is it just going to be a boring game? I don't want to take either one of these teams. It'll end in a tie.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. And as you said, yes, Todd Bowles announced that Eric Decker has a partially torn rotator cuff and is going to be out of the game. All right,
So now it is out. It was doubtful earlier.
he was. He said that he's going to be week to week with this injury, so we'll have to keep our eyes open what's happening with him. And also Ryan Clady is listed as questionable with a shoulder injury.
Okay, all right. So who are you taking in this game? I really don't. Both these teams seem to be playing terrible. If Ryan Fitzpatrick wants to remember how to be a quarterback, I would definitely like the Jets in this game. The Seahawks have no offense whatsoever.
I have Seahawks rebounding. Christian Michael's going to have a good game.
I think the Jets are done, man. I think the Jets are done.
So Christian Michael's going to have a good game.
I mean, Rex Ryan's got to be loving it. I mean, it seems as if he just resurrected his job, perhaps.
Yep.
But I don't know.
Down to Sammy Watkins, though.
The game that he always says he has circled on his calendar, Belichick and the Patriots. Now, who the hell is going to play quarterback for the Patriots in this matchup? I mean, do the Bills even have a shot? I mean, you would think they would, considering, like, who is the Patriots quarterback? Tom Brady finally due back the following week.
Correct.
Week 5, but
This
can
week,
Rex pull an upset?
Can he? Absolutely. This is one of those coaches that knows Bill Belichick in and out for the most part, because
He does always play him close. It
Yes.
is always a tight match.
So knowing what his philosophies are going into the game, he has that advantage. But also, not only injury-wise are they lacking their number one wide receiver in Sammy Watkins, but they also announced that Greg Salas, another wide receiver's groin, is going to hold him out. Offensive lineman Cyrus, I'm going to mess this up. I'm going to try, though. Coel Ngio, his ankle's messing messing with him. Patrick Lewis's knee are out for Sunday. So that's, there's a lot of holes going on there. But also offensive tackle Cordy Glenn's ankles bothering him. And he was on the practice field, but limitedly.
Now, as far as the New England Patriots quarterback goes, Garoppolo and Brissett were both throwing at practice on Wednesday. So, I mean, we'll really have to see who's healthier, I guess. I mean, I think they would prefer to have Garoppolo start, but we'll have to see if he can. And don't forget, Julian Edelman, Mr. Emergency quarterback.
Correct. Yeah, like they're not going to go out
and also let's not forget that somehow through all this, the Patriots are undefeated, and on top of the AFC East, where they always are, no matter what. Thanks to Bill Belichick, Brady being out just speaks so much more to Belichick, and it is really one of those situations. Now, I know so many people will think this is blasphemy, but I wonder how much of Tom Brady's greatness is, if you will, as much as I would hate to say that, how much of Tom Brady's greatness is really just coming through Bill Belichick. If Tom Brady would have been drafted in the 7th round or 6th round by Miami, would we even know his name? You got to wonder.
I don't know. I think it's I think the combination of the
but I do think the bigger part is Belichick building him up as a kid. So, I mean, it is Tom Brady's skill and knowledge of the game, but I don't think his skill and knowledge of the game would be as high as it is if not for Bill Belichick. In fact, I know.
So, who are you taking? All this inflating of the Patriots' ego, I would have to assume that you're going with them.
Why the hell not? They're undefeated. I'll stick with the Patriots.
I have the Bills stopping them.
I want Rex and the Bills to win, but I don't see him doing it. Sammy Watkins, I mean, he's missed so much time. It's almost like they should be used to not playing with him.
Correct.
But, I mean, we'll have to see what happens. But I'm going to have to go with my brain and take the Pats in this one.
All right. Well, then let's move on to the next one here. We got we got Detroit against Chicago in Chicago.
Ugly game. I like Detroit. Detroit has looked better
as well
than they have over the past several years. Now, Stafford, excuse me. Now, Peyton Manning said that the best quarterback he ever saw go through his camp, and pretty much every professional quarterback now went through the Manning camp. Okay. He said the best quarterback he ever saw in the camp was Matthew Stafford, and Peyton Manning thought Matthew Stafford was going to light it up in the NFL. Now, he is really a streaky kind of player, up and down guy with up and down years. Sometimes, especially with Megatron healthy, how could you not look great? Sometimes looking great, but he's always just been on a bad Lions team, and he plays bad himself a lot. Now, he has 81 completions on 120 attempts for 985 yards and a nice little 7 touchdowns, 2 of them going to Marvin Jones, the other 2 to Anquan Boldin, the old man with the 11 receptions and 105 yards on the year. The receiving leader, of course, being Marvin Jones with 18 catches for 408 yards with a 22.7 average.
And then the close second there, their tight end, Eric Ebron, with 14 receptions, 168.
It's about time the boy from Newark finally stepped up.
Yeah. I have him in fantasy.
I remember when he was being drafted, he was taking the pick before the Giants. Now, I really wanted the Giants at that time, to draft a basketball-style tight end like Eric Ebron. And I'm not going to lie, a big part of it was that he was from Newark. Thought that was awesome. Gotcha. I was all about, the local kid, making the team, coming out, being the next Jimmy Graham, and he really did not do a damn thing. Finally, he puts it together in his 3rd year with 14 receptions, 168 yards, and a touchdown. Not that that's all that phenomenal, but let's look at the other side of the ball, and we'd have to start out with Brian Hoyer.
Yeah,
Brian
because
Hoyer. But Cutler's supposed to play though, right?
No, his thumb was still bothering him.
Okay, so it is Brian Hoyer getting the start. yards. Now, Brian Hoyer has 39 completions for 61 attempts with only 395 yards, 2 touchdowns on the season. Now, Langford had, a really nice year last year, and he's really continued it. Jeremy Langford,
but
the
he's
running
out.
back.
Jeremy Langford is doubtful with his ankle injury.
Oh, see, yeah, I must have missed that. But he had 31 carries, 116 yards, and the 2 touchdowns coming in one game. So I guess Jordan Howard will be looking to get the start with 12.
Yes, he was listed doubtful.
12
receiver.
carries.
Alshon Jeffrey is also listed as he was listed as questionable because he was limited on Friday's practice. So that's another target that's down for Chicago.
Well, not necessarily doubtful.
Alshon
Alshon Jeffrey, he's a leader of that team. He might,
he's questionable.
Maybe he'll take it. He's questionable, and he's got 14 receptions, 271 yards. But Kevin White, who was injured all year last year, never took one snap, drafted right behind Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
I forget which pick exactly, by the Bears in the first round. Really didn't come onto the scene until the combine, and people got to look at his 40, but I was never real high on him. One person who was Sam Stocks, and if you go back in the archives a little bit, you can find a projection article where Sam Stocks predicts Kevin White to kind of have a really nice season. He's got 13 receptions, 132 yards, no touchdowns. Same thing for Alshon Jeffrey. Zach Miller getting the majority of the touchdowns with 2. Now, Jordan Howard, who I mentioned earlier, has 12 carries. He should be getting the start over Langford for 67 yards. I definitely like Detroit in this.
Yeah, Detroit's going to win. And
Theo Riddick's been playing pretty nice. He got a touchdown finally, you know what I mean? And Amir Abdullah. I don't think Amir Abdullah is supposed to be playing, though. He didn't play last week.
Gotcha.
Do you know what's Abdullah's status for this one?
Abdullah is starting as far as I see here. Okay. Let me just double check my notes because I like to be on top of things for the most part. But like I said, though, there's key injuries to the Bears side with Alshon Jeffrey being questionable, and he's their number one. The Lions wide receiver Marvin Jones is hamstring. He returned to practice on Friday, but he was after being very limited on Thursday. DeAndre Levy, their linebackers quad, and pass rusher Ezekiel Ansah ankle remained out. So there was nothing on Abdullah. So there's, as far as I know, he's going to be back.
There you go. Well, that is definitely good for Detroit. Let's forget what we were talking about there.
Detroit. Yeah. So now we're moving on to the Oakland Raiders visiting the Baltimore Ravens. Now,
this will definitely be a good game. I'm gonna go with the Raiders. I mean, they started out slow, and let's see if they can continue to bounce back. David Carr. I mean, man, he looks like he could really be special, and it helps having Amari Cooper out there on the outside. But the Ravens, don't get me wrong, the Ravens are no slouch. I mean, they have 2 comeback victories, but that shows a lot of lot of weakness. But it also, at the same time, they won, so it shows the resilience. I really don't know how this team is 3-0, but they are, and I'm going to say they get their first loss.
I hear you. The Ravens are going to be dealing with some injuries,
but Oakland's got to step up that defense, though, man. What's going on, guys? What's going on, Mac?
There's a lot of inconsistency, a lot of missed tackles, honestly. But starting on the Ravens side of the ball, running back Kenneth Dixon's knee and offensive lineman Ronnie Stanley's foot are going to be having them listed as doubtful on Sunday. Okay, linebacker Elvis Dumerville foot and guard Alex Lewis had a concussion. Returner Devin Hester's thigh. Defensive tackle Timmy Jerrigan's knee. Receiver Kamar Aiken's thigh. And guard John Urschel shoulder are listed as now questionable. So, and then on the Raiders side of the ball, center Rodney Hudson's knee is listed as questionable against the Ravens.
Right, so let's
I still have the Raiders, though.
I guess, do you want to talk some Denver, Tampa? Tampa, with Mike Evans and Jameis Winston, they're playing in spurts of like greatness, but they can't put it all together. They got the snot kicked out of them last week.
Yes, they did.
By who was that? By the Rams, actually.
Correct. The Rams.
Yeah, that was really unbelievable. I mean, losing to Arizona in week 2, 7-40, then losing to the Rams 33-37. Their only win coming in week 1 to Atlanta, where Winston and Evans kind of went off 31-24.
Yeah,
that being their only win. Playing Denver,
and then they go to Carolina next week for Monday Night Football.
Monday night, and then they hit the bye. So let's take a look here. What do you see?
At 1-5.
What is that? Okay, so so you're sticking a fork in Tampa. If you think they're 1-5, that's a fork.
Yes.
All right. No.
I have Denver beating them. And then Carolina it usually does pretty well against them as well. So
after losing to the Rams, I don't know. See, I really, I don't know. I can't see him taking Denver, but Carolina, I don't have faith in. So I'm going to say they lose to Denver, win at Carolina, bringing them to 2-3 at the bye, coming in then.
You just
back
have
at week
no
7.
love for my team. I show some love to the Giants once in a while. You show no love to the Panthers. You know how much love you don't show to my Panthers? You skipped right over their game against Atlanta, which rounds out the last of the 1:00 games. Carolina is visiting hot Atlanta, not Atlanta.
Divisional matchup.
The team that costed the Panthers their perfect season. They go back to where that infamous game took place, and hopefully with lessons learned.
It's not as infamous because they lost the Super Bowl. If they would have won the Super Bowl, that game would be a lot more infamous. Now, real quick,
season's a perfect season, though.
It's not perfect when you lose the Super Bowl. Go ask the Patriots.
Yeah, ask the Patriots.
Cam Newton, 63 for 108, 63 off of 108 with 809 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 of them going to Kelvin Benjamin, who was non-existent last week with 0 catches.
Promises of production this week, though.
Over the season, 13 receptions, 199 yards, 3 touchdowns coming off that ACL surgery. 2 of those touchdowns coming in week 1.
Yes,
Big game week 1. Greg Olsen, leading receiver, 18 receptions, 259 yards with a touchdown. Now, John, what do you think about Whitaker?
Whitaker is change of pace back to Cameron Artis-Payne while Jonathan Stewart's out, but honestly, if these guys can hold down the position, I don't think we'll see Jonathan Stewart coming back into a starting position for the Panthers, because Cameron Artis-Payne is one of these guys that I believed in coming out of the season, but then seeing that he was a healthy scratch towards the beginning of the season made me a little bit questionable of how the organization actually values his position. So him being given the start as the running back and then Fozzie Whitaker as the change of pace, I think that is almost as good of a scenario that we've had in a while. When we had a healthy Jonathan Stewart and a healthy D'Angelo Williams, that was a heck of a combination there. Do I think it's on that scale right now? No, but I think it's up to the point where when you have Cam Newton as a running threat as well, you spread the ball around and you move the ball effectively as long as you get protection, which last week we saw with no protection, Carolina could not win that game.
Now we're going to have to move on.
Voice of Bedlam Live. We got 4 minutes.
We got about 4 minutes left on the latest
Voice of Bedlam Live. Yes.
Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Andrew Bedlam. As always, I got my main man, Devil John, with me on the mic and on the boards. I also like Carolina in this one. We're going to go through rapid fire some of these 4 o'clock games. I like the Rams to get a back-to-back win over over the Cardinals. I really have lost faith in Arizona, another team I thought might be special this year. Mm-hmm. Not as much as I did about Jacksonville, but now the Saints,
Chargers.
I'm
got
going
the
to have to
Saints
go
rebounding.
with the Saints also. Yeah,
I got the
Saints on the
Saints.
rebound. Melvin Gordon had those 2 touchdowns early, has not done a thing since. Chargers need to get that
Dallas,
defense
San
together. I've already taken Dallas, so you took
Yep.
San Fran. Now, in the Giants game, I am taking the Giants.
But what about the Chiefs and Steelers?
Yeah, I was going to say, but so you're taking the Vikings, and that'll leave us with the last one.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Kansas City Chiefs versus the Steelers. Now, the Steelers basically embarrassed last week. I like
and that
Antonio
embarrassment
Brown.
continues, I think.
I like
I
Antonio
got the
Brown
Chiefs.
and D'Angelo Williams to bounce back
Well,
and
they got
put
Lev Bell
things
now,
together.
too. They got
Yeah,
Lev
that's
Bell
right.
back.
Bell off suspension. This will be Lev Bell's big return.
But there's a talk that he might be used more so in the wide receiver game than being a running back. Since
that's a big boy coming out of the backfield.
Exactly. So he'll be coming from the maybe from the slot. I would use him as a slot receiver. And
or from the slot or just out of the backfield. Yeah.
yeah, well, with D'Angelo Williams running hot right now,
But you can go. I'm saying you can
with
go
2 running backs. Yeah, 2 running backs.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, they also
and
have.
it's not like he's only going to line up in the slot. He'll be the sole running back sometimes, I would imagine.
I don't know. I still think that if there's going to be some
Depends on how
production,
ready he is.
if their tight end's going to get the most.
Because, when you're on that suspension, you're not training at the facility. You're not at the facility. So it's really on the player, just like the off-season. But you guys know what that music means. It is time for our lovely show to end. We had a blast hanging out with you guys for the past hour. Remember, this is Voice of Bedlam Live, and please check out voiceofbedlam.com. We got lots of great posts up there. Remember, you can tune into us every Tuesday and Friday night live on the All In Sports Talk Network. You can get our show in podcast form from voiceofbedlam.com. Just click audio podcast or video podcast and be directed to our YouTube channel where we have some awesome videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Please hit that subscribe, that share, that like. We love them all.
Spread the word.
Spread the world. Spread the word. VOB Live.
To the
Taking
world.
over. Hit me up at Andrew Bedlam on Facebook. We'll talk to you guys on Tuesday to recap all of this past week's action. So until then, for Devil John, I'm Andrew Bedlam, and we're getting the hell out of here.